Hello, everybody. How are we all? How are we all? I have this wonderful red rose as a background here because the presence of the Magdalene energy is so powerful right now. This rebirthing, this remembering, this embodying, and this expansion of divine feminine energy within us in her most powerful form, the lioness energy, the dragon energy coming in right now is so powerful. I had to do a video to bring some of the messages that I'm receiving through to you, and hopefully it is my intention that they are going to help you wherever you are right now, in whatever process you are going through, however you are experiencing this time and this very fascinating energy. I have some cards from the dragons, the archangels, and unicorns as well to help assist the messages that are coming through. But first, we are right in the middle of this Sirius alignment. So we had the start of this very poignant Sirius portal over the start of July, right? We felt that, we saw that opened up this 7-7 portal. It was a wonderful conclusion and opening from the solstice through to Lion's Gateway. Now, right now, yesterday specifically, we are at the Galactic New Year. This is an Atlantean New Year. So it's no wonder we have the golden Atlantean dragon showing up to support us with that shining crystal, bringing the memory and bringing a unique calibration to anybody and everybody who is on this planet. Because whether we realize it or not, whether we're conscious to it or not, we're all part of this ascension process. We're all part of our own personal expansion on a soul level and on a higher level. They go hand in hand, and we often don't really realize that, right? We can kind of get into this bit of an ego trap, right? Especially those on a spiritual pathway. And it's really important to talk about this, right? Because it's very subtle. But first, let's go back to the crystal energy of Atlantis, of golden Atlantis, of the successful experiments of Atlantis, because really we're in the 6th Atlantean phase right now, right? We're in the 6th Atlantean phase. We have so much support from star beings, from celestial beings, from one another as humans, right? As humans with divinity embodied, because that's what we all are. A crystal, and let me just show you here. A crystal has all these different sides to it, all these different faces, all these different wonderful, very intricate reflections, right? Every time you hold it a different way, something different shows up, shines up. And the crystals, like you see with this, with Lemurian crystals, with record keepers, with any crystal, really, they're programmable. And they're programmable by frequency and intention. Now, everything is happening right now, everything in time and space, past, present, future, different dimensions, planes of existence, all of it's happening right now because really we are in a holographic universe, right? We're in a holographic universe. And what that means is a creation for ourselves by ourselves. But who is ourself? That's the question. Who is really channeling through the temple that is you? Who is really channeling through the vessel, the container, the pipe? You can call it that, like a straw. It's we act as a channel, as a bridge. But we also have to remember there is multiple versions of ourselves that are moving through us. This is how we get past life memory. This is how we get even lower energy things, such as feeling like we need to do some quantum healing or feeling like we need to do some soul retrieval. We feel that way because there is a part of our energy that is focused without us realizing elsewhere in a different time, space, or dimension. We get this quantum entanglement happening. And it's really interesting to actually talk about this and to mention this because especially when we find people that are, that we're conscious to a spiritual path, this happens in the 4th dimension. You become conscious that there is more than meets the eye. That's the 4th dimensional experience. And it's a kind of a balancing point, right? It's a balancing point and it's a bridging point to where we all desire to go. Because whenever you ask anyone, regardless as to who they are, where they are on their own unique path, right? With anything, what is it we desire? It's usually to do with, more freedom, more love, more wealth and abundance, more bliss, more joy, right? Those higher vibrational energies, which we are able to channel through and embody, but it's a consistency thing, and that consistency comes from where we're focusing. And I say it here because it's where our sight is focusing, whether it's connected with the heart space. Now, what's really interesting is right now, we're all experiencing our own personal version of this purification of this collective energy. And it's never been so distinctive as it has been before now. And what I mean by a very own personal version of this is that whatever has been the most challenging and embodied experience you had, especially in this lifetime, but also it will bridge to other lifetimes, that is what is coming up. So, for example, and it's coming up in a very tangible way. So, for example, if you have experienced chronic asthma, for example, all of your life, and you may have cleared it, healed it to a certain level, that may be showing up for you right now because there is, on a cellular level, an embodiment that is so unconscious to us, to our knowing, to our mind, that we need to experience it again to be able to actually, with our now and newer, more focused understanding and inner standing of ourselves, our deeper connection that we have now than what we did maybe a year ago of our higher selves, see it from fresh eyes so that we can see the emotional cause or the mental cause, the belief that is underlying that, and the belief that perhaps is spanned through many lifetimes. Same with time. If you always feel very stressed and pushed for time, even if we find ways to manage that, right, that will be coming up for you. If we have a worry of being unwell, right, of if there is a focus on ascension symptoms, or what we call ascension symptoms, and this desire to this innate desire to want to show up and support and lead, then we may be finding that we have interesting challenges coming up with tools within our body that we need to do that leading. So it might be our throat and our voice. It might be elsewhere. For some people, we're experiencing deep movements in our womb space, right? If we, especially if you are in a female body, and you've been spending a lot of your life in your masculine energy, because that's the world, that has been the world, right? You may be feeling a lot of movement with your lower back, with your lumbar, with your womb space, right? There is such a distinctive rebalancing and recalibration happening right now. It's kind of impossible to ignore it, but it's so unique for each individual that, there is, it's showing up in this way. And we have the wonderful Archangel Gabriel's, I've disappeared, there we are, Archangel Gabriel's dragon showing up to help us bring this purification and self-discipline, because this is what it's bringing. It's bringing a reminder of self-discipline, of spiritual discipline, because it's helping us go within to find the answer, go within to hear ourselves and to listen. And although there are videos such as this one, such as other people who will share the wisdom and the messages they're receiving, right? It's up to you to find resonance, to know if there is resonance with that message, and to do the healing, within, because you have the power to do that. But it's an embodied remembrance. Now, why this is really fascinating, really interesting, is I started out by saying, there are multiple versions of ourselves that can move through us. And I say multiple versions of ourselves because everything is ourself. Because in a holographic universe, we are all, that everything is you, such as everything is me. Okay? But it's how we're attuning and focusing that energy. Because if we're looking outside of ourselves, and this is the premise of shadow work as well, if we're looking outside of ourselves to another person and we have an opinion on what they should do or what we think they should do, we're actually diluting our own energy. And we're moving it away from being able to focus and narrow in so that it can heal or do whatever it needs to do, right, within ourselves. But there is this divine feminine energy that is coming through to pair with the Lion's Gateway energy. So there's a lot of lion energy, lion, lioness. this kind of pride will come up in the shadow form, because that is what we are combating. Pride, also known as ego. And now ego is important because it's our personality in this lifetime. It's our sun, right? It's our personality. It's our focus. It's our direction. It's our joys, and it's our hobbies, you know. It's a good thing. Individual is being individual and having an identity. That's the ego, right? But we want to have it in balance and connected with the heart space. That's what's being brought forth. There's some very, very, very powerful archangels supporting us right now. Call upon them for their assistance. And notice as you do your day-to-day, whether you find yourself having an opinion of something. I was asked a very simple question today by one of my friends. It was something super simple, just about, you know, whether I wanted to do something like a hobby, like kind of, you know, go and have fun and do such thing. And it was really funny because I found myself having a opinion before I actually even thought about it, really. You know, I kind of found myself saying, oh no, I don't really want to do that. And I was like, why? Actually, do I really not want to do that? Or is there a reason why I believe I shouldn't do that I haven't actually consciously acknowledged before? Which actually was the case. So it was really interesting to catch that thought, that version of myself, of my ego moving through me, because that was coming from a pattern. That was coming from a pattern of my mind, of my ego, of my wounded inner child, perhaps, because that's what's coming up to heal, to be brought into purification, right? Cleared. Cleared is another way of phrasing that. But it's this feminine energy of the Omega Dragon. I disappear sometimes when I do that. That's interesting. It's this feminine energy of creation, of intention, of knowing that everyone is actually an aspect of ourselves and showing us our own medicine in a way that we need to see it because we might be unconscious to it. But this is paving the way for this. Some would call it the new Atlantis that we're forming. You don't have to call it that. Some resonate with that, some don't. To me, it doesn't, you know, to me, we can call it that, but that's not what I see it is, right? I just see it's more truth, more embodied truth, more embodied light, more embodied knowing, right? But we do have the source dragon here, helping us attune to the infinite. You see this infinity symbol here on the dragon, the light shining forth from his wings. We have Metatron here, opening the stellar gateway, which connects us to our monad, to the Godhead. We're building our light body right now. And it's only through building, through experience, and through the contrasts that we've allowed ourselves to embody without seeing clearly. It's only through feeling those again to be able to see the illusion that we've created within ourselves that we actually can clear that. And we have some incredibly powerful archangels assisting us. Archangel Samael, bringer of light, massive, rapid ascension assistance from that particular archangel. He and Metatron work very closely together, along with this Lord Weavsil, a Lord of Karma. So we are actually clearing such deep karma that we might be feeling like, oh my gosh, what have I done to kind of create this around me? Why is it one thing after another? But really, it's not one thing after another. It's just a culmination of false beliefs we've embodied and created and told stories about to ourselves to make ourselves understand, to help ourselves understand, to help our inner child be pacified, that they're all being brought up. And when we start to unlock one, it unlocks another, it unlocks another, it unlocks another. It's not a bad thing, but it can be challenging if we don't know how to see it, if we look at it from the eyes of that wounded inner child, if we look at it from the eyes of someone without faith, without trust, without the innate wisdom that filters in, that pours in through the cosmic heart of Venus, right? Through into our higher hearts. And the Omega Dragon is helping with that. Archangel Gasissa is helping with that. These sacred sites you're being drawn to, the images of Chalice-Well, of Stonehenge, of Avebury, of Tara, of all these different places, of Giza, of the pyramids, the Sphinx. Now, this feminine energy that is coming in, you know, even the perception of that, because it can be so spoken about that it's tiring, right? Because perhaps we don't really understand what that energy is, and we might think of it as very delicate, but it's actually quite fierce as well, because in the feminine energy comes the chaos. Now we need the chaos to break down the structure that hasn't served. So perhaps there is chaos happening within us right now, because for it to happen within, we then find our new alignment, we find our truer alignment, and then we see it outside of ourselves as we create it. The unicorns are reminding us, right? Pure intention. Notice, practice noticing, practice observing your thoughts, because there is a surrendering of ego that is happening right now for us. And we can make it worse for ourselves than we need to, or we can make it smoother, right? There are some that have been messaging me, that have been emailing me, saying and sharing how certain things are happening in their life, right? And how it's actually really challenging, because it is created, but it's created by our higher self. I'm just going to put that in there. But it's created to essentially throw us a little bit, to kind of knock us off guard a little bit, because it's only when we're knocked off guard can we see from a different perspective. I saw my nephew yesterday, and he was obsessed with standing on his head, like being upside down. He was going, look, I'm meditating. And he was literally flipping upside down, balancing on his head and going, and I'm like, this is a child doing this. And the family that he's in doesn't really have any spiritual practice or anything. And somehow, somewhere, he's picked up the desire to meditate, but he wanted to do it upside down. I find that really fascinating. And I'm watching him going, it really is a time of different perspective. It's a time that child, the inner child within us, sees things differently. What can your inner child see differently right now? Because we are being birthed into this I am presence, we're welcoming this in. I am that I am that I am that I am. The stellar gateway. That vortex dropping in to manifest. But to drop in and manifest this higher light, we have to clear, right? We have to allow clearance. So something that will help is really focusing on our spiritual discipline, because we are spiritual beings using this human flesh to be here. We are divine beings using this body to be here, but let's not forget that this body is made up of the earth, so we're still human. Regardless as to how much of a starseed you may feel you are, we all are, because earth is very young in comparison to the other places where we've come from, and we come from the infinite and the eternal. So we have to recognize that as well, but also recognize our humanity, because otherwise there is a disconnect between our earth and our feminine energy. Right? And what is it? Which energy is it that receives? The feminine. So if we're trying to receive something embodied, it's the feminine energy which embodies, and it's the feminine energy which receives. So if you're manifesting and magnetizing, we want to be able to really be on good par with that feminine energy. And that doesn't happen through too much thought, right? Because the conscious mind is limited. And that's okay. But this is a very enlightening time. It's a very powerful time. And everyone is exactly where you need to be. We're exactly where we need to be. So don't worry. Allow the sacred light and golden energy that is coming through, that is very personalized to you right now, to drop in. And everything that you see, just see it from a neutral perspective if possible. The emotions may arise, and they are simply telling you where we are aligned with our truth, or where there is a belief that we've created to help pacify our wounded inner child, our inner child. Okay? And that inner child wants to have fun and play and be enjoying. Let me just offer you this little bit of insight. It's your inner child that manifests, because you're always constantly manifesting. So there needs to be a focus on that. If anyone is keen on shadow work, or wanting to really get a grip of that in a really good way, there is a wonderful course that myself and Melissa Virtue co-hosted. It's fully recorded, and there is 7 weeks of content with extra bonus light language attunement, soul activations, quantum healing for every week of that course. That's available on my website, along with some live one-to-one appointments have just opened up. Soul contract acceleration sessions. They are live on my website now to book, along with channeled guidance, live channel guidance, along with the usual light language soul activation sessions that are recorded, along with the 3-day distance healing, the blue rose healing, or the light body recalibration, and the recorded readings are also available on my website. But for right now, I have space between next week and the week after, where I'm taking live one-to-one appointments, which are 60 and 90 minutes long. So if that calls to you, feel very welcome to book. Okay. But in the meantime, I just wanted to bring that through for you and just let you know that you're not alone, right? It might feel really interesting if you're experiencing one thing, but someone else is experiencing another. And you're like, how is this all connected? Like, what's going on? This is your time for your personal offering from the divine you, coming in to say, hey, it's time for us to imbue the higher self you within your being and embody it and walk it. You've been asking for everything that's going to be brought forth for that and from that. But we just have to kind of go through this shaking off of the dust, shaking off of the veils that we've shrouded ourselves in. That's a good thing. If you're feeling like you're uncertain with anything, please feel welcome to reach out, comment below. If this has helped, like, comment, let me know how you're feeling, how you're finding this right now. But it's Galactic New Year, Atlantic New Year, such an abundant time. Should we open ourselves up to that? And depending on how we allow ourselves to focus, how we allow ourselves to see, or how we choose to see what we're experiencing, will really make this a very, very blissful, fun ride, or a little bit more challenging. But either way, everything is divinely perfect, and we've got this, you've got this. If I can be of any service, please let me know, please reach out. And I hope that this has been helpful, healing, and brought you insight to things that you already know. So much love, so many blessings. I'll speak to you soon.